former Labor Senator Stephen Conroy joining us live. It's all about the economy once again. It's all about the economy, stupid, as James Carville once said. By that measure, how's the current government going then, Stephen?
Well, look, I think they've taken the Australian public into their confidence. They've wanted to outline the difficulties that we face. I mean, we are got a global set of circumstances. We've got domestic circumstances. You've got China having COVID-0 policies. They're, cutting off supply, not deliberately, just because they've got lockdowns. You've got the Russian war driving electricity and petrol prices through the roof. You've got floods in Australia, once in a lifetime series of floods where it's cut off supply of lettuces and basic food. So the economy's got a lot of challenges.
What's interesting though is the attack lines that Labor used before the election and during the election campaign are now circling back to Labor, aren't they? Everything's rising except your wages, things of that nature. And so there's an issue there.
No, look, Labor supported. The government didn't. The coalition government wouldn't support the national wage case, the 5.1. Labor went hard in the election. We did do that. We've got more wage cases to come. We've got the Jobs and Productivity Summit coming up, which I'm quietly confident that there's going to be a good outcome there in terms of productivity, which will see real wage increases. The enterprise bargaining system get a few tweaks. I mean, these are the things that the country has needed for a long time. If you put the politics aside, this is what we need. So that Jobs Summit, I very much remember that summit the Rudd government held, which was just a complete, not a waste of time. But this summit, I think substantial benefits to the country will come from. So Labor's already done a couple of things, and then we've got our budget forecast and the fiscal position coming through the budget in October. So I think you'll be able to see a different narrative that won't allow that criticism you're talking about hold water.
Are you interested in, or were you interested in Peter Dutton's comment yesterday that the fuel excise cut should be extended, and then your comment on Chalmers saying this morning, no, we're not doing that?
Well, look, Peter Dutton sat in Cabinet. He was one of the most senior Cabinet ministers, and they put in place legislation that said a 6-month cut. Now, either they were having a con of the Australian public and it was a cheap political stunt, which is, when Peter Dutton says, oh, no, let's extend it now, it was a cheap stunt then, and what Peter Dutton is saying now is a cheap stunt. Don't try and trick the Australian public. They're not mugs. They recognised before the election that that was a cheap political stunt. And now they want to try and play politics twice. So I think Jim Chalmers has got the right position. There's other things that we need to do. And I think you'll see Labor going into that next budget with policies that will begin to help in these areas.
Just a final one here. We're almost out of time, but the argument is going to circle back again today when the RBA lifts its rates. Again, highlighting how far off the mark Philip Lowe was. Can he stay in that role? I know there's a review going into the RBA, but can he stay in the role beyond next year?
Well, I mean, the problem he's got is he dramatically got it wrong for the last couple of years. I mean, dramatically. Australians listened to him when he said no rate rises before 2024.
They sure did, yeah.
But what's really concerning is he's getting it wrong again. He's putting in place a policy response that deals with the wage price spiral, what you would call demand-side inflation. He is actually dealing with a supply-side crisis. I talked about the Putin war, the floods, President Xi and COVID lockdowns. None of those are affected at all by interest rates going up. So he is absolutely pulling the wrong lever and refusing to explain how he's going to deal with the actual problem. So I think he's got serious questions.
Yeah, particularly Chalmers highlighting last week inflation now going beyond Lowe's forecast as well. There's another hit. Stephen, good to see you. We're out of time. Talk to you soon.
Good to talk.